Hey, welcome. It's No Apologies on Beck, where we are unafraid to speak the truth. I am your host, Rick Becker, our co-host, Lori Hintz.
Hi there.
And Lori,
good show.
I have a head cold, but we're gonna
push through.
Push through, man. Push through.
You are such a trooper.
Yeah, I think I got it from one of those freedom-loving people in South Dakota.
Take one for the team here.
All right, so we have April Moss coming up.
Yes,
That's our
I'm
guest.
very
Yes,
excited
I know.
about
That's
that.
going to be good. I did meet her down in South Dakota this last weekend. First up, for our first segment, I wanted to bring up, go ahead and bring her right up, guys, a couple of topics. I was going to discuss this in more detail. And really, as I learned more about it, there's only so much to talk about. So what we have here, the news that the feds deny North Dakota's request for early haying of CRP land.
That's ridiculous and
Right.
totally partisan.
See, that's the thing.
That is all political.
Yep, I gave our Agriculture Commissioner Doug Goring.
Right, you're right.
Doug Goring a call last night. He was gracious enough to take the call, and it turns out that this is very unusual. Mm-hmm. The request is in because the farmers want to get the hay going, right? The cattle are going to need it desperately. The longer it sits out there, it's drying to a crisp, it's not going to have any value.
Right.
The time to hay is now. And with CRP, they have all these regulations, federal regulations. And so Doug put in a request. They normally would get back to you like that, and they have gotten back in previous years and okayed it without a problem. This time around, it's taken 3 weeks. They still don't formally have an answer, but he informally has an answer that the answer is no.
Wow.
He does not know why.
Wow.
I suggested that it was because we're a red state, and
Exactly.
it's punishment. It's purely punitive. It's absolutely crazy. And then I was asking, well, what can we do about it? Like, let's think outside the box. What if the governor didn't give a crap about following federal guidelines? What could the governor do? Something, anything. And Doug couldn't really think of anything. See, the problem is that the landowners have a contract, and if they break the contract, they stand to lose money that was paid to them, meaning they have to pay it back. The farmers or ranchers are commonly not the landowners. They're leasing the land.
Right.
So if they break it, the landowners are going to suffer. It's a morass of confusion.
So is this Tom Vilsack? Is this the problem?
Yeah, that and the whole Biden administration. And so that really, I guess, where it stands is our Senator Hoeven, Senator Kramer. Hoeven's on the Agriculture Committee. They need to get, if it doesn't happen in the next couple of days, then there's no point. There's no point. All right, so the next thing, pull her up, guys. The next thing, my good buddy Rob Port is at it again. I said I'm going to keep hitting back. I'm going to keep hitting back. So he's got an article out. This is yesterday or today. The NDGOP is governing successfully, and the Bastiat caucus hates it.
Oh, for Pete's sake. Let's invent something new.
So I want to briefly go through the article. And so
I have not seen this yet.
Yeah, he says that the Bastiat caucus is like a car alarm. It goes off so much you don't even, when you hear it, you don't think anything bad anymore. And what he says is the loosely organized Bastiat caucus movement. Now,
now you're a movement.
This is something. The thing is, it was the Bastiats and the Bastiat caucus, and then what he was saying, incorrectly and intentionally incorrectly, was pretty much anybody, any group who is going against an establishment, against the incumbent, who is calling out the legislature for spending too much, anybody, they were suddenly Bastiats.
Even though they may not have been in reality.
Well, in almost all cases, they weren't. And so now people are catching on to his lie. And so now he's saying Bastiat caucus movement. Now, it's not a Bastiat caucus is a group of legislators that we try and decrease taxes, decrease spending, increase freedom. That's it. Other people in the state, as we have said so many times, are fed up with what the legislature and elected officials are doing, and they're taking action. That's a movement. That's a movement, Rob.
But that's not the
But it's not a Bastiat caucus. You can't just make it up, which is what you're doing.
Wow.
He says the movement's activists attempted a largely failed takeover of several NDGOP district committees this spring. No, the Bastiat caucus was not involved in a single one. It's a lie that he's repeating.
Wow.
He says elements of the Bastiat movement are trying to force a recall of Governor Doug Burgum.
Nope.
Not true. In fact, the Bastiat caucus is advocating against the recall. A flat-out lie again, Rob. Not that you care.
Where does he get his imagination?
And Dwight Kiefert, which the people that have the petition for Representative Kiefert in Valley City specifically have said they're not associated. He didn't even know, the guy in charge didn't even know how to pronounce it. Which I'm not dissing him, but I mean he has no.
That should prove, yeah.
Right. So then he says, despite the economic and social upheaval caused by COVID-19 pandemic, the severe drought, uncertainty in agriculture and energy markets, our state emerged from the just concluded budget cycle with a roughly $1 billion budget surplus. That doesn't just happen, he says. And so what he's saying is
he's
that...
equating one with the other.
Well, right. So he's saying that the Bastiats aren't happy with the governance of the legislature. Keep in mind, we had a record budget, right? A record-breaking budget. What he's saying is, but we have $1 billion left over. Isn't that amazing?
Okay, what's the
That's
problem?
good. He says, as we saw during the oil boom years when a profligate, big spending, legislature and a go-along governor presided over skyrocketing budget growth that had to be slashed back down to something sustainable with a post-boom tax revenues, good budgeting requires effort and principle. Now, I'll remind you that back when this happened, the Bastiats were the ones saying we need to cut our spending. This was in 2015, but we were not listened to. So the Bastiats were the ones that back then we would not have had to slash anything. Now, the weird thing is, Rob, you know this, but you don't care about accuracy and the truth. When we had to slash, it was because the legislature had a forecast of how much money was going to come in, and they spent everything in the forecast.
Right.
The forecast was wrong, and they overspent by $1.5 billion. The legislature had a forecast this time round, and they spent everything in it. The forecast was wrong, but this time there was an excess. It had nothing to do with good governance. He says the budget surplus is due to prudent governance by North Dakota's Republican majority in the legislature, as well as the Republican office holders in the executive branch, including Governor Burgum. So he's giving credit. Now, again, we spent everything we thought was coming in. We did more than that. We borrowed almost $1 billion from future legislatures to continue doing projects we thought were important enough. We didn't just decide to not spend and leave $1 billion there. It's a flat-out lie. It's an intentional misrepresentation, Rob Port, which is a lie. Your readers eventually are going to figure out that you are self-serving, you're in the pocket of the forum, and you are so far up the governor's butt that he's going to need a proctologist to get you out, my friend.
I think that he needs to just stop writing because his writing is not truthful.
It's unbelievable.
Or maybe people just need to stop reading his crap.
Well, I read it when it's about Bastiat.
Yeah.
All right, next up.
Clickbait. Okay, we will be talking to the gal who came out on TV live after Ivory Hecker. Her name is April Moss. You're going to love her. She's up next.
When you can't find answers to your recurring health challenges, it can feel like your health and your future are being held hostage. The Wellness Way is a network of health restoration clinics that think and act differently to solve the health challenges others can't. Here, we disrupt the standard approach to care through a combination of testing, individual plans, and one-on-one guidance, putting your health and your future where they belong, in your own hands.
40 years ago, Aero Service Team started with one truck and lots of hard work.
Times may have changed, but the hard work that we put in to get your lives back in order after fire, water, and disaster hasn't.
Over the years, we've seen so many families lose their belongings due to water and fire damage. Restoring homes back to the original state has made every hour of hard work well worth it.
Thank you for trusting our family with yours.
When disaster strikes, you only have to make one call. Aero Service Team does it all.
It's every American's right to bear arms. At Mandan Sporting Goods, we're here to help you support your Second Amendment rights, which reads, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Whether you're looking for a pistol for personal defense or collector gun, we have the staff to help you. We also have the area's largest inventory of ammo and reloading supplies.
Mandan Sporting Goods, the area's local gun and ammo specialists.
40 years ago, Aero Service Team started with one truck and lots of hard work.
Times may have changed, but the hard work that we put in to get your lives back in order after fire, water, and disaster hasn't.
Over the years, we've seen so many families lose their belongings due to water and fire damage. Restoring homes back to the original state has made every hour of hard work well worth it.
Thank you for trusting our family with yours.
When disaster strikes, you only have to make one call. Aero Service Team does it all.
Every great pizza has a secret. At New York To Go, that secret lies in our perfectly recreated New York water, the key ingredient to making our signature New York-style pizza. We also feature gyros, with the region's only gyro meat spit, plus Nathan's Hot Dogs, calzones, and our delicious jumbo buffalo wings. Try a 14-inch or our special giant 20-inch pizza tonight. You gotta know how to fold them if you want to hold them. New York To Go, we deliver for you.
Go for Launch 2018 series winner. Without further ado, it is my honors. Regina. The winning team is the Fleming River Excellent.
Oh my God!
They won!
Hey, we're back. It's No Apologies on Beck, and we have with us special guest April Moss.
I am so excited to talk to you, April. She is remoting in. Are you in Detroit?
Yes, currently I am. We just got back from an exciting week in South Dakota for Freedom Fest, but I'm back home and back home with my family. They're all thrilled.
Now, I was reading a little bit about you, and you are a boy mom like this girl. I have 3 boys, and you beat me.
We always laugh in our house. I don't know if this was ever one of your mantras, but growing up when my kids are still in the growing up phase, but when they were really little and they're only about 2 years apart, and I have a set of twins and then a third son that came along, we used to say, we'll never be able to sell the house that we live in. We're just gonna have to burn it to the ground and start over, because with boys, you're either repairing drywall every 3 months or repainting every 6 months.
Gosh.
It's just a constant thing. The paint can has to be very accessible.
That is so true. So April Moss has 4 sons. I only have 3, and I can totally relate to that too. When I was reading about that, I kind of snickered to myself, not going to lie, because I totally get that. And there were the years where you just do not buy new furniture.
We had a flood in 2011 in our house, so we had to haul everything out, rip out carpet, clear the. And there were several instances where I was saying, "What the hell is this? Where did this come from?"
How long has it been there?
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, that's boys. Okay, so just going back, I didn't mean to ask you about that, but it just made me laugh too, because I can totally relate to that issue.
Yes.
So you are a former meteorologist for WWJ-CBS in Detroit, and the background of the story is that, like Ivory Hecker, who preceded you by a week, you decided that you were done with all the baloney that they were doing. In your case, it was a little different in that you had not so much censorship. You were frustrated with some medical edicts that they were putting on you. But we'll talk about that. First, I want to do the setup and show what you did when you were live, and this just cracked me up. I'm not kidding. It just made me laugh because you went right back into it. All right, let's run it.
And thanks for watching Verse Forecast. I'm meteorologist April Moss, and happy Father's Day. Today we saw temperatures above normal again, topping out at 85 degrees at Metro Airport. Plenty of sunshine today, but all good things must come to an end, and that starts as early as tomorrow morning with showers moving in around 8 a.m. And speaking of a brand new week, I will be sitting down this week with Project Veritas to discuss the discrimination that CBS is enforcing upon its employees. Tune in to Project Veritas for my full story. Now, later Monday, we will see those showers continuing.
That was good. That was really good.
It was so smooth, and you went right back into it. That is a professional. I love that so much. It was great. So what you were actually talking about specifically when you say medical discrimination, are you talking about vaccines and mask wearing? What are you talking about?
Yeah, pretty much the COVID policies that CBS was enforcing. And this had been continuous pretty much since December 2020. This was only applying to about 9 of us who had been given approval to enter the building. Pretty much they sent out everybody home except for myself and just a handful of other people. And it was only the small group of us that had to comply with weekly testing, and then, mask wearing within the building. And then, as the vaccinations began to roll out, they started to say, hey, we want to give you guys incentives to go get vaccinated. And then the rhetoric from corporate within internal emails continued to kind of hone in more on, we really need everyone to get vaccinated. And I knew this like a year ago that, there was talk internally from my boss that was saying like, listen, I'm pretty sure they're going to force everyone to get these vaccines eventually. So we were all just kind of biding our time, those of us who wanted to still keep our jobs, and we're really hoping that it didn't go that route. But this became an issue where now that they were going to start to allow more people back into the building, they wanted everyone to have the vaccine by July 5th. And if you were not going to reveal your vaccine status to the company, then you were going to be treated as a second-class citizen, and you were going to be forced to wear a mask, test weekly, if you wanted to come into the building. And those that were vaccinated, they didn't have to comply by any of these standards. And so it's just downright wrong. And I continue to keep talking to my boss internally and HR to say, hey, listen, this is actually a violation of our Constitution. It's a violation of federal law under the EUA. And I submitted documentation from lawyers to them. And it went all the way up to CBS Legal. And they basically came back and said, doesn't matter. You have to comply. If you're not going to comply, though, then you're not allowed in our building anymore. So that was where we were at when I contacted Project Veritas. I was in the middle of these talks with work, was getting nowhere. And so I felt like I need help from somebody else. I need help. So I contacted Project Veritas. They were so kind to say, absolutely, like, let's get this story public for you. So they were phenomenal to work with. And, many of my viewers were contacting me and saying, hey, listen, as a meteorologist, they could see when I was at my house, and then when I was in the studio, and they're like, we don't see you in the studio anymore. Like, are you okay? And I really just felt like this was such a violation of my privacy, because now my medical status is out there for the whole world to see.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that is quite a story. We just in the last week, on Monday of this, or was it Friday last week, here in our city, one of our large medical centers decided that they were going to insist and mandate vaccines for their workers, and it's upheaval here like crazy in our city right now. So
here's the unfortunate thing is that people, the only way out at this point is through the legal system. It's going to take people to stand up. And I guess that was my main notion of even making this so public, was to say, this isn't right. We can't just keep complying with all of these demands, because before we know it, we've already, acquiesced to all of these unconstitutional demands that they want, this medical tyranny. And then where do you go from there? You can't get back your freedom once it's been taken from you. So really felt like it was just imperative that I take a stand when I did, so that we could, on behalf of everyone that is faced with this situation in their workplace, we can start to create change.
Now, had Ivory already gone and done her thing when you contacted Project Veritas, or did you do Project Veritas and then decide when you were going to exit?
Yeah, so basically, no, I didn't actually know anything about Ivory. I was dealing with my own situation. Project Veritas does an amazing job with keeping everything completely quiet among whistleblowers. So nobody actually, even at Project Veritas, very little people actually know who is a whistleblower until it's like about to hit. So they do an amazing job of protecting your identity. And so, no, I had no idea who was working with them.
That's so interesting.
And so here I am just contacting them for my own help. And then when her story, of course, went public, I saw it and I thought, wow, you know, and honestly, it's a little intimidating because I'm thinking, okay, I can see the national attention she's getting. I don't really want that kind of national attention.
Right.
So, you know, but James had called me and he said, this is the perfect time for us to go public with your story. And so that's what we did. And so, yeah, you definitely, you know, you wait until, you know, Project Veritas kind of gives you the green light.
That is so cool. All right, when we come back, we'll talk more about Project Veritas and some other stuff. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
When you can't find answers to your recurring health challenges, it can feel like your health and your future are being held hostage. The Wellness Way is a network of health restoration clinics that think and act differently to solve the health challenges others can't. Here, we disrupt the standard approach to care through a combination of testing, individual plans, and one-on-one guidance, putting your health and your future where they belong, in your own hands.
40 years ago, Aero Service Team started with one truck and lots of hard work.
Times may have changed, but the hard work that we put in to get your lives back in order after fire, water, and disaster hasn't.
Over the years, we've seen so many families lose their belongings due to water and fire damage. Restoring homes back to the original state has made every hour of hard work well worth it.
Thank you for trusting our family with yours.
When disaster strikes, you only have to make one call. Aero Service Team does it all.
Prairie Patriot Firearms and Training is the region's most complete gun and training center. 5-lane indoor range, a gun shop, and a certified training facility. Firearms training courses are offered daily for new, intermediate, and advanced shooters. If you're not comfortable in a classroom setting, Prairie Patriot offers one-on-one private lessons, from basic self-defense training to concealed weapons testing, along with a full line of guns, ammunition, holsters, and concealment clothing. Prairie Patriot, 3930 Memorial Highway, prairiepatriot.com.
40 years ago, Aero Service Team started with one truck and lots of hard work.
Times may have changed, but the hard work that we put in to get your lives back in order after fire, water, and disaster hasn't.
Over the years, we've seen so many families lose their belongings due to water and fire damage. Restoring homes back to the original state has made every hour of hard work well worth it.
Thank you for trusting our family with yours.
When disaster strikes, you only have to make one call. Aero Service Team does it all.
Every great pizza has a secret. At New York To Go, that secret lies in our perfectly recreated New York water, the key ingredient to making our signature New York style pizza. We also feature gyros with the region's only gyro meat spit, plus Nathan's hot dogs, calzones, and our delicious jumbo buffalo wings. Try a 14-inch or our special giant 20-inch pizza tonight. You gotta know how to fold them if you want to hold them. New York To Go, we deliver for you.
It's every American's right to bear arms. At Mandan Sporting Goods, we're here to help you support your Second Amendment rights, which reads, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Whether you're looking for a pistol for personal defense or collector gun, we have the staff to help you. We also have the area's largest inventory of ammo and reloading supplies.
Mandan Sporting Goods, the area's local gun and ammo specialists.
And welcome back. It's No Apologies on Beck, your after-hours oasis of sanity. I'm your host, Rick Becker, co-host Lori Hintz, and our special guest, April Moss.
I'm so happy to be talking to you today. This is such an interesting thing that Project Veritas is doing. It is going and it is finding whistleblowers from all different careers. I mean, all different things. There's some tech people that, whistleblow, and then now some media people, which is amazing. And I did not realize that you and Ivory were not coordinated until after you had already made your statements too. But since then, Project Veritas has had y'all go in a bunch of places, haven't they?
Yeah, we were in Dallas, Texas for CPAC, and then about a week later we traveled to Tampa, Florida for the Turning Point USA Student Action Summit, and then from there we literally went straight to South Dakota for Freedom Fest. So it has been so great to see so many amazing freedom lovers, American patriots who just love our country and love what our country was founded on, and getting to connect with those people.
Now, what we were talking about in the break is that you really don't have a sense of how the general public, when you're on television or when you make that announcement, you don't really have a sense how people are reacting to it until you're in a big arena situation like that. And CPAC was great because I saw the picture of all of you lined up there with Project Veritas with James O'Keefe in the center and then all of the whistleblowers on the side. That must have been amazing to get that feedback back from the people.
It's so incredibly encouraging because to even be a whistleblower takes such a tremendous amount of dying to self, because you truly don't know what your reception is going to be like from the public. One, two, you can't even comprehend what life is going to be like afterwards. The fact that it can be good and even better than things were before, because all you can think about is you feel like you're betraying your company, even though I would say these companies are betraying us and they're betraying the American people. But yes, there's no way to fully comprehend it until you're at these amazing events. And I'm so grateful that Project Veritas not only provides the opportunity for our stories to be heard, but then continues to bring us with them to continue to speak our stories out to the public and reach a greater audience.
That's wonderful. I understand too. Well, first I want to ask you, how did the Detroit viewers who loved you react to this whole thing?
It's interesting. There was only one local TV station that picks up my story and actually had me on the show for me to talk about my side of the story. I thought it was interesting because, 15, 20 years ago, you would have had all the local TV stations fighting to get an interview with somebody who is outing their competitor, right?
Right.
But that's just the state of media today, is that I only had one station contact me and bring me on. A few radio stations covered my topic. Most of them, they were kind to me during the interview. Some of the viewers didn't think that I should have used my platform to be able to speak my own personal opinion. What they said were my personal opinions. And again, I was just reiterating to everyone, listen, it's not my opinion. This is truth and fact that these corporations are violating people's human rights. They're violating the Constitution. They're violating the federal law under the EUA. And so this isn't opinion.
Right? Good for you. Good for you standing up to that. That's true too. So what do you have planned for your future? How long did it take for them to decide, okay, you're fired? Was it like the next day and you did that on like Father's Day, I want to say. It was like Father's Day.
Yeah, the story went live Father's Day night. The next morning, I got the infamous call from my boss. If you haven't had a chance to listen to it, it's available under the Project Veritas channel on YouTube. You can still listen to it. Quite interesting. And then it was later the next day, so about 2 days later, that I officially received an email letting me know I was no longer going to be scheduled for work. So
that's an interesting way to put it.
Yeah, didn't use the words, termination, but was no longer be scheduling me for work. And so, yeah, it was just a couple of days later. And to answer your question about what's coming up next, basically, I'm going to be doing a lot of independent journalism. I'm super excited about it. My media team, I'm working with them. We're going to be launching my own show that will debut on several different channels. We're going to try to push some things out on YouTube. I know a lot of the topics and guests I will be interviewing are going to be censored, so we'll also have them on additional platforms that will not get censored. So that's the immediate plan, is to do some independent journalism. And then I'm also working with Project Veritas as well to work with donors, and just we're still in the talks about what does that look like exactly. And there might be another surprise coming our way as well. I can't speak to it just yet, but all good things have come from speaking the truth and speaking out against corruption within the media, and of course the medical tyranny that's happening at Viacom CBS.
Well, I just want you to know how proud we all are of what you have done. We love watching people speaking truth when we get plenty of lies around, and we're used to that. So it's really great to see somebody stand up for the truth, say it out loud, and I didn't think that that was your opinion either. I never ever even thought of it that way as your opinion. I thought, okay, she's talking about something that's happened and speaking about it and making sure that people finally know about it. So I like how you've turned the tables a little bit on them.
Well, thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. It was definitely a hard decision, and it didn't. I didn't come to this decision lightly, but as you said, it's not my opinion. It's just trying to provide a voice for people who don't have a public platform.
Well, we will follow you on Project Veritas, and now I want to go and listen to that boss's phone call. Thank you very, very much for being on the program. We are so grateful, and we hope to see what you do when you figure out what your new project is. We'll find out. All right, we'll be right back. We've got another segment. He's going to give you some information about what happened at Freedom Fest with an interview next. Stick with us. Thanks, April.
When you're buying windows, make sure you're comparing apples to apples. Hi, I'm Jesse with the Window Source. We only sell you the best windows and doors for the best price. Call the Window Source. Just because you pay less doesn't mean you get less.
Calling all first responders. Join us Saturday, July 31st for First Responders Night at the Bismarck Event Center. The Bucks take on the Green Bay Blizzard with a 7:10 p.m. Central Time kickoff, and will highlight those who serve and protect our communities. For more information on tickets, visit bismarckbucks.com and download your free general admission ticket today. Saturday, July 31st, it's the Blizzard versus your Bismarck Bucks. See you on the 31st. Go Bucks!
Every great pizza has a secret. At New York To Go, that secret lies in our perfectly recreated New York water, the key ingredient to making our signature New York style pizza. We also feature gyros with the region's only gyro meat spit, plus Nathan's hot dogs, calzones, and our delicious jumbo buffalo wings. Try a 14-inch or our special giant 20-inch pizza tonight. You gotta know how to fold them if you want to hold them. New York To Go, we deliver for you.
It's every American's right to bear arms. At Mandan Sporting Goods, we're here to help you support your Second Amendment rights, which reads, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Whether you're looking for a pistol for personal defense or collector gun, we have the staff to help you. We also have the area's largest inventory of ammo and reloading supplies.
Mandan Sporting Goods, the area's local gun and ammo specialists.
We're the ladies of Another View, bringing you a fresh view on local issues.
And different perspectives you won't get on the mainstream media. Watch us weekday afternoons at 4:30 Central Time on Beck News and at beck.news.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and as you know, my passion is to help each and every one of you get the best sleep of your life. That's why I created my new Giza Dreams bed sheets. The first night you sleep on my sheets, you'll never want to sleep on anything else.
Go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen right now to get your very own MyPillow Giza Dream sheets. When you buy one set of sheets, you'll get another set absolutely free.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit mypillow.com.
Could you do us a favor? Beck TV is a finalist for Best Local TV Station in the Bismarck Tribune's Best of the Best. Vote now through August 9th by text or online. Vote for your leader in local, Beck TV.
All right, we're back, and we've got our first interview from Freedom Fest. There are several that are coming up. Some days we'll have one segment, some days we'll have two. Tonight we've got one segment. This gentleman is Mike Surdick from Advocates for Self-Government. And let's just roll it, guys.
Hey folks, we are here at Freedom Fest in Rapid City, South Dakota, and I have with me Mike Surdick, and he is with Advocates for Self-Government. And it's an interesting little factoid that I didn't realize, but on our show I had talked about the world's smallest political quiz and how much I liked it and how much I thought it was enlightening for people who might take it. And it turns out that that is your baby, right?
That's correct. Yeah, the world's smallest political quiz was not developed by me, but by Marshall Fritz and David Nolan back in the 1980s, and then developed over the 1990s with the idea of basically trying to figure out how they could identify people who were libertarian and libertarian-minded by taking basically a very short 10-question quiz and plotting them on a little chart here with libertarian, authoritarian, liberal, and conservative. So,
yeah, it's I find it so interesting because I think the average citizen that I at least interact with, certainly in North Dakota, is going to be somewhere between libertarian and conservative, and I think most of them are shocked at how close they are to libertarian principles, meaning, again, government, just leave us alone. Now, a lot of them a lot of us in North Dakota are not going to be as maybe giving the leeway to drugs and things like that, so I think that a good portion of the population will find themselves right between the high point on libertarian and the point over to the right with conservative. But the fact that that quiz allows them to think about it in terms of instead of just a left-right sort of prism, that there's a whole spectrum and that they don't necessarily fall where they thought they might. Do you see a lot of that?
Exactly. So one of the reasons why the quiz was created was because people are so used, especially in America, people are used to thinking in terms of left versus right. That is the predominant narrative that the media is constantly pushing on people. And obviously, because we're in a two-party system, you have Democrats and Republicans. And so they want to keep the focus in that limited band of political discourse and ideas. Whereas what we try to point out is that there's way more to political ideology and thought than simply a narrow left versus right. The way that I like to talk about it is that people who are steadfast conservatives have certain fundamental moral foundations and values, and those are in many ways opposite to people on the left, the liberals or progressives, depending on what you want to call them. Where libertarians come in and we say, hey, we respect your personal values, whether you're a conservative or whether you're a progressive liberal. What we say is that individuals, human beings, should not coerce, you should not use government or coercion in order to impose their moral foundations, their personal values on other people. And what we find is that a lot more people than realize actually agree with that concept, because it's a foundation of a liberal democracy, liberal meaning kind of more liberty oriented, like the founders envisioned it. And so what we find is that roughly 30% of people actually score in the libertarian section of on the quiz.
Yeah, well, and I think a lot of people would find that surprising. It's interesting. I formed a group of legislators in North Dakota called the Basiat Caucus, of more conservative-minded legislators, and we pretty much stick together all the time when it comes to fiscal policy. But where we sometimes separate are on some of the more social issues, like decriminalization of marijuana, where a lot of us might feel maybe that's not a good thing to do for you, for your loved ones, or what have you. And so some feel that, well, but it's our job as legislators to try and create the best society, whereas other legislators are feeling more like you cannot legislate morality. So even though we may agree we don't want marijuana, perhaps. It's not our job to legislate. So and so I think that what I'm getting at is it's not just that we're all on the right, but there is this up-down of what's the proper role of government in pursuing these ideals that might be more defined as left-right.
Yeah, that's correct. And at the Advocates for Self-Government, we recognize that there are consequences to public policy. And so by decriminalizing drugs, especially the harder drugs, as a libertarian, when I talk about that, people who are on the, especially social conservatives and the like, obviously balk at that and say that's going too far because of the consequences and how this might affect families, etc. And I think that's a legitimate concern, but at the same time, I think that where libertarians and a lot of those social conservatives can find common ground, and by the way, I'm not in favor of people going out and using heroin in the streets. I don't personally use those illicit drugs, but I also generally think people should be free to use them as long as they're adults and they take responsibility for the consequences of their actions and decisions. No bailouts, that sort of thing.
Sure.
But we have the United States was built upon a foundation of federalism. So if certain states want to run experiments with decriminalization, and the population within those states agrees with that, then we should have that ability. So I think that the federal government should should end the war on drugs and allow states like North Dakota or other states that don't want to decriminalize. They don't have to do that.
Exactly.
But states that do should be able to experiment, and then over time we can evaluate what are the pros and cons of these policies, and then other states can adopt them or reject them as they see fit.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the answer to so many concerns, is this whole aspect of federal control versus state sovereignty. Because exactly right. If North Dakotans are of the mindset that we do not want to legalize drugs, none of them, it's not for us, it's not good for society, we can have that, and Colorado or California can open it wide up. And that's the beauty of being able to move state to state. It's a lot different when the federal government's controlling everything.
Correct.
Yeah. It's phenomenal. Are there other areas besides drugs? Because that's kind of that's obviously a very polarizing thing, but are there other issues you see that are a little bit more nuanced and on where conservatives and libertarians can come together?
Well, right now there's just a whole host of different things where it seems like conservatives and libertarians can be able to work together. It used to be the case that the left were these bastions of things like free speech and freedom of expression.
Yes.
And yet we see that the tides have turned completely, where the left, especially progressives within the leftist movement and the influences of Marxism, are completely trying to eradicate free speech on social media platforms and basically in classrooms and elsewhere. And so this is a natural area where libertarians and I think most conservatives can unite and say, no, we need to protect free speech and freedom of expression, even if it's things that we don't agree with on a moral level. So there might be some disagreements among libertarians and conservatives about the substance of the content, but we can still defend the fundamental principles of freedom of speech and expression. So that one immediately comes to mind.
Yeah. I'm finding that conservatives have really swung the pendulum back with criminal justice reform. The I guess more Republican position of throw them in jail and throw away the key of the 80s and maybe 90s, that pendulum's coming back, and people are saying maybe throwing people in prison is not always the best answer. Not only is it more costly, but are we actually accomplishing what it is that we as a government should be attempting to accomplish?
Yeah, I know that people like Senator Mike Lee in Utah have been big advocates of criminal justice reform, and other Republicans and conservatives are trying to push those agendas forward as well. And I think to the credit of the left, that you do see an opportunity to actually when politics don't get in the way, this is something that they should be in favor of and trying to work with us on. Unfortunately, politics do get in the way, and so that's not always the case. But as far as an alliance between libertarians and conservatives, criminal justice does make sense. Conservatives certainly recognize the potential and opportunity of being able to be better stewards of tax resources. And then libertarians might be more inclined to do it for just based on, I hesitate to use the term social social justice because that's a leftist term, but just let's forget about social, just justice in general.
You bet.
And so giving people a second chance to turn their lives around. Many people, especially in the era of COVID and with the ever-growing presence of opiates and the opiate addiction, a lot of people make really bad choices. Doesn't mean they're bad people, but do we really want to throw those sorts of people in prison for years, or do we want to give them an opportunity to maybe go to rehabilitation or some other positive restorative justice process?
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes putting people in prison for that is actually also punishing their families as much or more as it is them. So yeah, it's a difficult. I'm glad we're going back to more of a reform of the criminal justice system. Absolutely. Well, I think that's going to do it for our time. I really do appreciate you coming on and bringing the world's smallest political quiz. We'll have the guys pull that up in a graphic probably right now. Excellent. And yeah, that's it. Have a great rest of the show. Appreciate you being on, Mike.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Good stuff. Well done.
Yeah, that was fun. That was fun. Lots more to come. All right. Next up, Lori's got a good topic.
I am. I'm going to give you a little recap of a rally. Stay with us.
Rally.
When you can't find answers to your recurring health challenges, it can feel like your health and your future are being held hostage. The Wellness Way is a network of health restoration clinics that think and act differently to solve the health challenges others can't. Here, we disrupt the standard approach to care through a combination of testing, individual plans, and one-on-one guidance, putting your health and your future where they belong, in your own hands.
40 years ago, Aero Service Team started with one truck and lots of hard work.
Times may have changed, but the hard work that we put in to get your lives back in order after fire, water, and disaster hasn't.
Over the years, we've seen so many families lose their belongings due to water and fire damage. Restoring homes back to the original state has made every hour of hard work well worth it.
Thank you for trusting our family with yours.
When disaster strikes, you only have to make one call. Aero Service Team does it all.
Spas, etc. Yeah. You've come to know and trust us for over 18 years with the largest selection and showroom in Western North Dakota for our beautiful Sundance spas. Plus, you could pick out your next home experience with our selection of pool tables, shuffleboards, and fun accessories.
Spas, etc. Your relaxation destination on Main and Bismarck.
40 years ago, Aero Service Team started with one truck and lots of hard work.
Times may have changed, but the hard work that we put in to get your lives back in order after fire, water, and disaster hasn't.
Over the years, we've seen so many families lose their belongings due to water and fire damage. Restoring homes back to the original state has made every hour of hard work well worth it.
Thank you for trusting our family with yours.
When disaster strikes, you only have to make one call. Aero Service Team does it all.
Every great pizza has a secret. At New York To Go, that secret lies in our perfectly recreated New York water, the key ingredient to making our signature New York-style pizza. We also feature gyros, with the region's only gyro meat spit, plus Nathan's hot dogs, calzones, and our delicious jumbo buffalo wings. Try a 14-inch or our special giant 20-inch pizza tonight. You gotta know how to pull them if you want to hold them. New York To Go, we deliver for you.
It's every American's right to bear arms. At Mandan Sporting Goods, we're here to help you support your Second Amendment rights, which reads, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Whether you're looking for a pistol for personal defense or collector gun, we have the staff to help you. We also have the area's largest inventory of ammo and reloading supplies.
Mandan Sporting Goods, the area's local gun and ammo specialists.
Welcome back to No Apologies on Beck. This is the final segment, and Lori, it is all yours.
All right, so on Saturday in Arizona, in Phoenix, there was a TPUSA, or Turning Point Action rally. It was an election integrity rally. The president spoke, among others. Charlie Kirk knocked it out of the park. Let's see.
Talk about how divided America is. If all of a sudden you want to heal America, then tell us what happened in the 2020 election. Join us in this quest to find out whether you won with 81 million votes and you can't even fill a room of 10 people, or maybe that there's more to the story. We're living through multiple issues that are so important to the future of our republic. Election integrity is number one, but our fundamental rights that impact you and our children are right up on the list. Now, there's something that's been really bothering me in the last couple weeks, and I don't care about what your opinion of this certain thing is, but we can all agree on this. We can all agree that no one should be forced to take a vaccine against their will. That no child should have to wear a mask at school, and they will never shut down our churches again. They will never shut down our businesses again.
So good. So good. Also, President Trump gave an hour and 45-minute speech, and among his things, he was actually introducing some candidates. And when he got to introducing the gubernatorial candidates, this happened.
Arizona's gubernatorial candidates, Matt Salmon. Hi, Matt. Carrie Lake. Whoa. Whoa. Wow. This could be a big night for you. Thank you very much, Carrie. Good job. Steve Gaynor. Steve. Thank you, Steve. And State Treasurer Kimberly Yee. Thank you, Kimberly.
Yeah, so she's very popular in Arizona,
Wow.
and I have reached out to her. I have a connection with her, and so I have reached out to her. I would love to have Carrie Lake on the show. Now, she is also a newswoman who was in her career for she was an anchor
Yeah.
in Arizona, beloved by the public, and she walked away as also from her job because she decided she was going to run for governor.
What in the world?
So she's fantastic, and obviously the crowd really liked her. Now, the interesting thing about Carrie Lake is that she is very beloved by people. However, there were people who spoke at this same rally in Arizona who got a completely opposite reception. And it was basically because they knew who she was, they knew how she had voted, they knew that she was essentially RINO. And so this next thing happened too. So this was interesting. I will call this the cringe moment of the whole event at the Turning Point Action Rally in Arizona this past Saturday. Watch this.
So why don't you listen to what I have to say? We the people. It's we the people who are empowered by our founding. Listen, I am running to be your next Secretary of State. I'm going to win the primary. Thank you very much.
Wow. She literally got booed off the stage. And that woman's name is Michelle Ugenti Rita. And she was well known by those people who were there at the actual rally. They all knew that she had voted in the legislature. She was running for Secretary of State. And they let each one of these, candidates up there to speak. They went through the governor's candidates. They went through the Secretary of State's candidates. But people were having none of it. And so this is This is not normal for Republicans. Republicans tend to not boo people. We just don't do it.
I don't know, man. Not anymore.
But I think the gloves are off because people are like, we are so not having it. This woman, voted on an issue that was very not friendly to grassroots, and she voted with 8 other people. I think there were 9 of them that voted against something, and it was apparent that everybody in the room knew that.
Yes. Yep. Voter integrity.
Voter integrity.
Yep.
So that was just crazy. So my favorite, if you get a chance to see anything from the Turning Point Action Rally in Arizona, my favorite speaker of all time was an Arizona representative named Paul Gosar. And you might be familiar with Paul Gosar, you may not. But he was fabulous, and I would highly recommend any opportunity to see anything that he has done. Can we run just part of his speech? Is that possible to run, guys? Just to run a little, like the beginning part of it? Okay, we'll run. I'll tell you when to chop it. But I want to give you a little taste of what Paul Gosar was like at TPUSA.
We were one of the prime people behind the scenes, making sure that we got the election looked at. Some of the reasons why is I had 2 gentlemen that had fraud experience, one from the military, one from the security exchange and banking industries. And they saw something in Arizona that troubled them deeply. They saw numbers coming through that didn't make sense. They saw dumps of votes that didn't add up. So if Joe Biden got 61% in the general area, you would expect him to get 59, 58, 62 in those same quarters. Not 38 or 41 or 40. Something was amiss. And they estimated from their fraud that between 400 and 700,000 ballots had some type of altering in Arizona. Now, I got to tell you, a lot of people wince at that. But go back.
Yeah, he was really letting them have it too on election integrity and on the audit as well. So fantastic speaker, and he's very slow paced, but
Turning Point.
Yep.
It's awesome.
Yep, it is. Anyway, all right, next time on No Apologies, what do we have coming up tomorrow?
Oh, I've got Larry Sharp, great guy, New York. You're gonna love him.
All right, we'll do 2 segments of 1 interview. All right, join us next time for No Apologies. We'll see you soon.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, inventor of MyPillow. Thanks to your support, you've helped make MyPillow become one of the fastest growing companies in America. Over the last 12 years, you've helped MyPillow create thousands of jobs right here in the USA.
When I got MyPillow, I'm asleep almost immediately. I stay asleep at night and I wake up more well-rested in the morning.
That's why I invented MyPillow. My patented fill adjusts to your exact individual needs and helps keep your neck supported and aligned. I'm interrupting this commercial right now. Retailers have canceled MyPillow, and to thank you for your support, I'm gonna pass the savings directly on to you. For example, you get my 6-piece towel sets, regular $109.99, now only $44.98, or MyPillow dog beds for as low as $19.99 with your promo code.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.com.